Thank you very much, Minister. I think the Minister has just joined our sales and marketing team here as well, so we might have a little bit of work still to do on the Taoiseach, so we'll have to work on him here later. But I'd like you introduce to our Taoiseach, and we're so delighted that he could be with us here today. And I not that I've no doubt, but he had other commitments that he has to be in Brussels later today, and I really appreciate that he's changed his schedule to be with us this morning. And I'd be interested that the Taoiseach says a few words to us. But thank you very much for being here.
Well, thank you very much, and good morning to everyone. Mr. Humphreys, Julie, Terence, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Just want to say how delighted I am to be here today to officially open Combilift's new global HQ and manufacturing facility here in Monaghan. I particularly want to thank Martin and Robert for inviting me. Met them before at a visit to Castorama in France, so I have been in the hot seat. Driven the forklift. Yes. But I did hear a story from Martin's school days, which I think in many ways illustrates why Combilift is such an international success today. And I'm told that Martin decided he wanted to take physics for the Leaving Cert, even though he hadn't studied science before that. His teacher refused, so Martin made a promise to say that he would be the best in his class by Christmas, and if not, he'd give it up. So needless to say, Martin's determination won through, and I think it's the same self-confidence and single-minded determination that has propelled Combilift to being a global company of real success. When Combilift was founded 20 years ago, there were only 3 staff, but there was a brilliant concept and the ambition to make it a reality. And your idea for the world's first multidimensional forklift helped transform the industry, producing 8 units in the first year, 17 of which were sold abroad. You've gone on to sell 38,000 units across 80 countries, which is really phenomenal if you think about it. With hundreds of people employed, you're recognised as the largest global manufacturer of multidirectional forklifts and a leader in load handling products. This fabulous new facility will enable your significant research and development to continue, which is necessary for all innovative exporting companies to stay ahead of the curve. And I'm particularly glad to mark this milestone for you here in County Monaghan, because we need many more homegrown companies like Combilift if we're to achieve our vision of a prosperous future with opportunities for communities living in all parts of Ireland. And for decades, it's been a mainstay of our industrial policy to attract in FDI, to attract in American and other companies, bring them into Ireland so they create jobs here and invest here. And that's going to continue. But I think more and more what we need is for Irish companies to start small, do well, and go global. And that's why I think the Combilift story is so compelling. When it comes to business and the economy, the government, as you know, centres its economic policy and everything we want to do with the economy and jobs really around 5 principles. The first is to manage our public finances prudently. And this year will be the first year in 10 years in which we've broadly balanced the budget. And we're also now reducing the national debt. But our national debt is still very high. It works out at about €45,000 per person in the state, which is 3 times higher than it was when we entered into the financial crash 10 years ago. So it's important that we do not repeat the mistakes of the past or go back to the when I have it, I spend it philosophy. We need to be prudent, we need to balance the books, and we need to reduce our debt so that we are prepared if we were to ever face a downturn or some sort of shock into the future. So when the budget comes in October, our priorities will, of course, to be to balance the budget and to further reduce our debt. After that, finding some room for modest reductions in tax and additional investment in infrastructure and public services. Our second principle is to keep Ireland at the centre of the world, to be committed to the European Union, the single European market, the euro, and being at the heart of the common European home which we helped to found. And you know that as an exporting company, how important it is that we have access to all of those markets, not just the single European market, but other markets around the world as well. We also want to have a fairer tax system. one that provides for modest, responsible and sustainable reductions in tax, a system that is more pro-business and rewards people's hard work. And that's why we've widened the standard rate cut-off point, the point at which people enter that higher rate of income tax. The average person working full-time in Ireland earns about €46,000 a year and will pay a chunk of their income at that highest rate of income tax. And that's very high and unfair compared to other countries. We also want to keep our taxes on business low and also assist businesses to find new ways to reward their employees, particularly through share options for smaller companies. We have an objective as well, and as our fourth objective, of full employment with good jobs for everyone, and to have those in all parts of Ireland. A couple of years ago, unemployment peaked at 15%. It's now down to around 6%, and in the border region, it's now actually lower than the national average. It's at 4.9%, which is an extraordinary turnaround if you think about it. And we expect that before the end of the year, when the numbers come out, we'll find that there are now more people working in Ireland than ever before. But we don't just want to create any jobs. We want jobs to be good jobs, ones that pay the bills, allow people to aspire to home ownership, give them security, give them work-life balance, and also ensure that there's provision for pensions in later life. And that's why we're reforming employment law to get rid of things like zero-hour contracts in most circumstances. It's why we've brought in paternity leave, and I see a relatively male workforce here in front of me, so I hope some of you have already availed of paternity leave, and if not, we'll do so into the future. And we intend in the years to come to extend parental leave, allowing parents, both mums and dads, to have more time off to spend with their kids in the years ahead. And we also want to invest in infrastructure, and that's what Project Ireland 2040 is all about. We figured that by 2040 there'll be an extra 1 million people living in the state, bringing our population up to nearly 6 million. And if you include Northern Ireland, it brings the population of the island back to 8 million for the first time since the famine. 8 million people living in Ireland. So we need to plan for that, and we are planning for that. And we published just a few weeks ago our 10-year investment plan, 116 billion that's going to be invested in infrastructure across the state. Investment in housing, which is so important and so needed. Investment in education facilities like schools and universities. Investment in transport, connecting regions better together. And that includes projects like the N2 and the A5, improving road access to this county and connecting Derry in the northwest to Dublin. Investment in broadband, which you know is so important as well. And why do we do that? Because we want to remove the bottlenecks that exist. We want to make sure there's capacity for future growth. We want to make sure that all parts of Ireland benefit in economic prosperity. And we also want to build a much better society as well. I'm conscious, of course, that we're not far from the border here, and because of that, Brexit looms large. And I know that some of your workforce, about 10%, are cross-border workers, people who live in Northern Ireland but work here in the Republic of Ireland. Brexit, as you know, is not our policy. It's a decision of the British people, which we deeply regret, but we must respect. And it's a decision that has been made more difficult by the decision of the British government to leave the single market, the customs union, and the European Economic Area as well. But our objectives are clear. First of all, to protect the Good Friday Agreement, peace on our island, power sharing in Northern Ireland, and North-South cooperation, and of course to avoid a hard border. We want to avoid or limit any damage that might happen to our economy and trade. We want to take advantages of some of the opportunities that arise, and there are some. And we also want to preserve the rights and freedoms of all our citizens. And that's particularly the case around the common travel area, allowing people to continue to cross the border between Northern Ireland and Ireland, cross between Britain and Ireland, just as they do now, able to access healthcare, housing, welfare in each other's countries, as we do at the moment. And we've made some progress in that regard. There's agreement that the common travel area should remain, so there should be no impact on cross-border workers. We have an agreement to maintain funding for peace and Interreg, which is very important for border regions. And we've also agreed the terms of the transition period, that really nothing will change until the end of 2020, or really the 1st of January 2021. And that's important. It's important for business in particular. It's important for exporters and anyone who's employed in the exporting sector, that you know that the rules of trade won't change until the end of December 2020. And I know some people say that we should have blocked that transition period, but those of you who are involved in business, whose jobs depend on trade, people who are involved in agriculture, understand why that would have been a mistake. When it comes to avoiding a hard border, we've put forward a solution, which some people call Option C, others call the Protocol on Ireland and Northern Ireland. And that has the support of the EU27, the European Commission and the European Parliament. So we're strong in our friends. We are, of course, willing to explore alternatives, but we do need to see substantial progress by the June Council meeting. To finish, friends and colleagues, I think the philosophy that underpins this company is the same philosophy that will help us to withstand the challenges ahead and to build prosperity in all parts of our country. The lesson is to think big and to do things better. And these are undoubtedly challenging times for enterprise in the border region, but they're also a time of opportunity. And Combilift shows us just what can be achieved with ambition, strategy, dedication and hard work. And I want to congratulate Robert and Martin and their leadership team and staff and everyone here on your achievements to date. So it leaves me with just 3 final things to do. To thank you very much for the invitation to be here, for your very warm welcome, the phenomenal work that you all do as staff of this enterprise, the work that you do in bringing revenues into this country, which benefit everyone so much. To wish you, the employees in the company, every success into the future. And finally, to formally and officially declare the new headquarters and manufacturing facility of Combilift to be officially open. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Taoiseach. So I think we'll do the official opening. We'll have to. We're going to give you the centres in.
It's a big one.
Chop, chop.
Should we do the countdown? Yeah. Right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Thank you very much. We're just going to go out to the front to unveil an official opening plaque with the Taoiseach here. So, thank you.